What is going on, boys? It is the DFS Kings here for my first main slate video. I've done one showdown slate so far, and for those of you who copy my lineup, you know that we hit, and we hit pretty good. Actually, at one point in the game, we had the exact same lineup as the person in first place, flip-flopped one guy. The captions were flipped, and that was it. It was Minshew and Fournette, which, speaking of Fournette, baby, negative 10 yards in the fourth quarter, busts out like a 70-something yard rush, and just saves the slate. It was unreal. Unreal. But yeah, we did really good. In my particular draft, I think I came in 2,200th place out of 79,000 people. So, we cashed, and we cashed well. We're right up there towards the top. You'd always love to give yourself a chance to win. So, but let's go into week 3 NFL Draftkings. We get some rankings in place, some sleepers. Let's take a look at the little list that we made up here and see what we got. Jameis Winston. I don't have these in order of like my favorite player or my least favorite player or rankings, whatever. A list of people I like. There's a few people that I like that I'll get to after that aren't in here. But Jameis Winston, I mean, whenever you can target the Giants, it's great. 321 yards allowed in the air, 31.5 fantasy points. Tampa Bay doesn't really have an elite running back, so it makes it a little bit more of a layup spot for him as well. Prescott lit the Giants up in week 1 with Gallup, and Gallup just reminds me a little bit of Godwin, so I'm a big fan of the Godwin Winston stack this week. Speaking of Prescott, I know I just said if you pick on the Giants, but is there a better team in the NFL to pick on right now than the Miami friggin' Dolphins? 316 yards allowed in the air. 45 points allowed a game. I have him, I meant to say, so just to give you guys an idea of how this works, so passing yards allowed per game, points allowed per game, projected points, and points per 1,000 salary. This is a pretty important number when you're looking at your overall lineup. So, Dak Prescott, love him. Just taking a look right now to see if he's been doing anything with his feet. And let's see. Rushing 5 attempts for 69 yards last game versus Washington, so there's some more upside to him there. I have this in my side monitor here just so you guys can see that. So Prescott's just in a great spot. And I know some people are worried about them blowing him out of the water, so you know, Prescott might take it out, but if he's going to get taken out, that means he's already had a monster game. So give me some Prescott. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. I just don't know how you pick. I mean, don't get me wrong. Mahomes is the better option. His floor is higher. He's more consistent. He's got a larger sample size, but this game's just friggin' awesome. You need exposure to this game. You need exposure to these quarterbacks, both of them. If I was to pick, 600 salary more, Patrick Mahomes, just the guy I'm going with. You can run him naked. If you're taking Lamar Jackson, got to keep an eye on his tight end, Allen and Marquise Brown. Let's see here. Baltimore KC, wide receiver. Oops, I got to check off Baltimore and check KC. So Brown, I mean, love Brown. 13 targets, 86 yards, 5 targets, 147. 2 TDs game 1, none last game. He just has a good floor and high volume for 5,900. And same thing with his tight end, Andrews. So questionable right now. Andrews tended to a foot injury last week as well, but he proceeds to light up the Cardinals. So yeah, I mean, his availability is unknown, but you know, looks like he's gonna play. 9 targets, 6 targets, 2 100+ yard games, touchdowns in both games. Definitely not gonna stick with those kind of stats, but I love that play. I really like Andrews, so Mahomes, you can take anyone on Mahomes. Anyone on KC can have a good game. I actually would probably prefer to run Mahomes naked. If you're going to pair him with someone, probably Watkins, but I really like Mahomes naked. And my two favorite picks, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. Josh Allen has a semi-tough matchup in the air, but I just love Josh Allen for daily fantasy. By no means necessary am I part of the Bills Mafia, but he's a great quarterback. He's cheap, a lot cheaper than the guys 5,900. Kyler Murray 5,800. Easy stack. I just love him with John Brown. I took him last week. I wouldn't say it paid off for me, but I'm pretty sure Brown's targets were there. John Brown. So what do we got here? 8 targets, 10 targets, 72 yards on 123 with 1 TD in one of those games. So, I mean, last game he busts out another 28 yards and a couple catches or a TD. He's right back up to 25 points for a 5K salary. I'll take a 5X any day. Enough to win in the GPP, maybe not, but the ceiling is there for him to do so. You want to be a little bit more contrarian, you could take Zay Jones, but I think taking Josh Allen with John Brown is contrarian enough where you don't need to take Zay Jones, but just wanted to put the option out there. Kyler Murray, dude, does this team play at a high pace? And they're playing against Carolina, also plays at an insane pace. 94 passing attempts in 2 games. You just have to have exposure to that kind of velocity. It's volume. It's crazy. Moving down to running backs. Actually, before we move down to running backs, let me just pull up this over here. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even have you guys on this screen before, but Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, those are the statistics I have for them. Take a peek at that. I'll leave it there for a second while I look on my other monitor at other quarterbacks that I may want to have exposure to. Let's take a peek. So, Mahomes, Jackson, yeah, we like them. Brady, I'm a Pats fan from Boston, big New England guy. That aside, they're just stomping everybody. I think Brady's in play. He'll probably play the whole game even if they're up 35-0. I'm pretty sure their spread's like 22.5. You'll still probably see Brady in at 22.5. Sean Watson, a little bit of a harder spot for him. But I do like Deshaun Watson a lot. He's great in his feet. He's got DeAndre Hopkins and Fuller to throw to, who I like both of them, so I will definitely have a little bit of Watson. Wilson, I will not have any of. Garoppolo, fantastic matchup. I like Garoppolo a lot this week. Definitely Pittsburgh's on 320, I think, in the air. 320 in the air, 30 points per game. Also suck against a run. I like Jimmy G. Jimmy G's a good play this week. Stack him up with, Kittle. Rodgers, nope, not a fan. Allen, yes, fan. Murray, yes, fan. Phillip Rivers, no. Matt Ryan, Wentz, like Wentz this week. Wentz is a good pick. I'm not trying to spend too much time because I don't want this video to be an hour and a half like most of the other videos out there. Just trying to kind of give you guys my, yes, no's, some small reasons why, not show you a screen full of statistics with green and orange and red and black bars everywhere and you guys have no idea what's going on, so. Reset me, Cousins, and what do we have? Speaking of a high pace, so Kyle Allen playing for Carolina for 4K, 309 yards allowed in the game in the air, 149 rushing. I like Kyle Allen this week. Definitely a GPP play and a huge salary saver, which is always something nice to run into. So that is about it for cornerbacks. Let's go down to running backs. I'm going to pull this up on my side screen so I can also see what is going on here. Christian McCaffrey, I just showed you the chart. 149 rushing yards per game, 25 points allowed per game, 3.77x salary, which is huge. He's good for a minimum of 5 targets, 15 rushes. Like, what we look for when it comes to running backs is volume. You want running backs who are not contingent on only getting touchdowns. That's the biggest thing with them. Christian McCaffrey, that kind of guy. Moving down the next in the list, same exact play. Ezekiel Elliott. A team is allowing 194 yards on the floor, 45 points per game. Miami sucks ass. Target them. Same thing I said about Dak earlier. Um, People are worried about him getting taken out. They're beasts in a B spot. If they're getting taken out, they already went in. They had their moment. They probably already had their fantasy points. I really like Elliott this week. Big, big, big fan of Elliott this week. Running back wise, overall, I would honestly just tell you, like, don't try to get tricky this week. I think this is the week where you take the chalk. You take the guys that people are going to be looking at. I think wide receiver this week is just crazy, and that's where you start making some contrarian plays. Saquon Barkley is on the list. I mean, he's immune to matchups. If you want someone who's not 100% reliant on touchdowns, this is the guy. His floor is just there. Really great for high ceiling. Probably going to be playing from behind, which is a little creepy, but it's just, my feel on Saquon Barkley. I really like him. I'll have a lot of Saquon Barkley. Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler. These guys are trucks right now. Choo choo! All aboard the Dalvin Cook train. I mean, both these guys are averaging 30 points a game. 30 fantasy points a game. At 7,800, 7,200, between targets and rushes, probably 20 attempts. I mean, Cook's matchup isn't as great. Still love him. If I was to choose between Cook and Eckler, I'd take Eckler, but you're going to run into a little bit of a chalk issue when you take Eckler. But 6 receptions in both games for Eckler. Like I said here, perfect scenario for someone who's not contingent on just touchdowns. So wide receivers I didn't do as in depth just because I think there's so many plays. So what we're gonna do with wide receivers is kind of go over some stuff. So I'm gonna start off with some safer plays. So DeAndre Hopkins, I could have nothing next to his name. 21.19 point projection. He's just a stud. He's actually my highest ranked receiver based on raw projected points, not points per salary, per 1K salary. Keenan Allen, similar play to Hopkins, ton of targets, no Hunter Henry. Targets need to go somewhere. I'm projecting him for 12 to 16 targets this week. Really like Keenan Allen. Davante Adams, I think he's got a little bit of a tougher matchup this week. But he kind of just reminds me of a target machine. He's going to be a little bit less owned as well, which I really like for the upside that he has. Here's the thing with people who get onto Draftkings, right? They see 189 yards per game, and they see a 3, and they don't play him. That's when people like us go off. Davante Adams is a good play. A little risky, but a good play. Kenny Golladay, whenever you can go for a team that's allowing over 300 yards in the air, just go ahead and lock that in. His targets are there. He's a deep threat. Great play. Austin Cooper, really good matchup. Playing essentially the team that is the worst in almost every statistic out there. Miami's going to get burned, and someone on Dallas, if not multiple people, are going to have huge games. Julio Jones is Julio Jones. He reminds me of DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen. He's playing Indy away. I like the matchup. He's averaging 22.9 fantasy points a game, and I think his targets are just there. So now that we've got a lot of the boring stuff out of the way, let's go into some GPP risky plays. So Godwin and Evans, I know that you wouldn't say those are risky plays, but I want to put them in the safe category. If you love Winston, you gotta love these guys. If I was choosing, I would take Godwin. I like his upside. His targets are there. No more Antonio Brown. So if you guys have Antonio Brown, you guys should pay attention to this little thing up top here that says draft information. Antonio Brown has been cut by the Patriots and will not receive fantasy points. Please check your lineups. Dorsett, Edelman, Gordon. Edelman's a safe play. His floor is very good. Gordon is a little safer. I think Gordon's ceiling is much higher, so if you're playing cash, I would tell you to take Edelman. If you're playing a tournament, a GPP, guaranteed prize pool, Josh Gordon. If you want to get even riskier, Philip Dorsett. Philip Dorsett, just so you guys know, since week 5 of last year, is 23 for 23 in the regular season. And I know 23 isn't, like, that's 2 games for Keenan Allen or Julio Jones, but he's reliable. Brady likes him. He's a deep threat, and we have a great matchup. I say we because I'm a Pats fan. Love Philip Dorsett. Really good GPP pick this week. John Brown, one of my favorite receivers of the week. Up here, I know I said that Allen had a matchup, 166 yards allowed per game, but I just think Josh Brown and John Allen are going to do some work on them. I am a fan of that stack, and I will have that stack a lot. Marvin Jones, he's playing Philadelphia, and anyone from Detroit is a great pick against Philly. The weather seems pretty good in almost all the games too. Looks like there's a little rain in the New Orleans-Seattle game and Denver-Green Bay, so keep an eye on that. But this game looks good. I like targeting Philly. I think Marvin Jones is the one to go. Mentioned earlier, Kyler Murray and how many plays he runs. Sorry, take a sip of water here. How many plays he runs? He just plays so many plays. I love Kyler Murray. Therefore, I love his receivers. They play a 4 wide set almost all the time. I think Fitz is safe, but I love Kirkwood for GPP. Sorry, Kirk. I love Kirk for GPP. I think he's a great GPP player, and I will definitely have some exposure to him. I'll be a little over the field on him. Emmanuel Sanders, I'm not hearing a ton about him, and he's the 4th highest scoring wide receiver in the league in a sick matchup. I'm gonna pull this up over here for you guys. So he's playing he's playing Green Bay away. The reason I say a sick matchup is Denver's gonna be throwing the ball, and they like to throw to him. 20 targets in the last 2 games, 16 receptions for, averaging 24.2 fantasy points a game. Emmanuel Sanders, one of my favorite plays of the week. DJ Metcalf, great targets, good matchup, pretty good ownership too. Ownership is something that you have to look at, and I like Metcalf's ownership. Aguilar is a tricky one, so I will have a good amount of Aguilar if Jeffrey's out. I don't like Aguilar as a wide receiver at 1. I don't think that he's going to have a fantastic game. But if Jeffrey's in and Deshaun Jackson is out, I love Aguilar. I really like Aguilar. So keep an eye on Jeffrey's status, and we'll kind of go from there. And last but not least, Devin Smith from Dallas. I know some of you are like, who the frig is that? A little sleeper for you guys. He just has an upside to break some 60, 70-yard bombs. He's a deep threat. I like Dalvin Cook. So this is it for my list. If you guys could tell me if you like the list better and me kind of talking to it a little bit and showing you guys these statistics here, let me know. I will do this going forward. If you like me bouncing back and forth, that's also fine. But let's go into this here and take a look at wide receivers, see what we missed. Alright, Hopkins, Adams, Cooper, Thomas. Not a fan of Thomas this week. I'm playing Seattle. You can't not be a fan of Michael Thomas. 13 targets. He's going to get targeted. Just not someone I'm looking at intensely. But I tell you not to play him. No. Julio Jones, we've talked about him. Keenan Allen talked about him. Godwin talked about him. Juju's tough. No Roethlisberger. I don't know what that performance will be like. And San Francisco's defense has been no joke this year too. So I will have a little Juju, but definitely not a lot. I'm just gonna skip over anyone from KC, man. It's just too hard to pick. If I was to tell you to take someone, obviously I'd tell you to take Watkins. It'd be stupid not to tell you to take Watkins, but I will probably have most of my Mahomes lineups with a naked Mahomes. So, see how that rolls. Thielen and Diggs, good matchup this week. A little exposure, nothing crazy. They just haven't done anything for me. Their offense has been meh with Flacco. So, Galladay talked about him. Evans talked about him. Cincinnati's, I don't know what's up with Andrew Dalton. He's like breaking all sorts of friggin' records over here. I personally hate him. I don't think he's a good quarterback, but I mean, what do we got here? 311 yards, 418 yards. But 22 and 25, like, I don't know. I think it's just a matter of time before he is Andrew Dalton again. So I think this could be the day that that happens. That being said, oh, where we go? Let's scroll down to where we were. That being said, I like Boyd, I like Ross. Small exposure, but you know, nothing crazy. Edelman, talked about Edelman. You know, safe play. Not a fan of Lockett. Diggs. Let's just go down here. Moore, yeah, DJ Moore and Samuel are always in play. You know, playing Arizona, like I said, there'll be a ton of snaps. I don't know what the hell their quarterback's gonna do. It's something that scares me, but this game is gonna have a lot of friggin' plays run, so taking anyone from Carolina or Arizona is a great play. Alright, so let me see if I can give you guys anything lower down here real quick. If I was to give you a cheap play that I like the most, I think it would be Philip Dorsett, 3,400. 4 targets and 3 targets. 4 targets, no AB, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Will he repeat that? Probably not. I mean, that's 3,400. That's like 7xing his salary. It's just not realistic. But I mean, if his floor is 7 fantasy points, I don't mind that for 3.4K. I'm projecting Dorsett for a 100-yard plus game, like 6 receptions and a touchdown. You heard it here first. Tight end. Tight end's been weird. Last week, I thought there's a million plays in tight end, and this week, a million plays in tight end. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the elite running backs this week. Kelsey, Ertz, Kittle, Ingram, all in play. Other than those guys, OJ Howard, they've been talking about involving him a little bit more in their offense. I like him. Waller has been a stud. Just very, what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent with his targets. He's a target machine. Lamar Jackson loves him. 7 targets, 8 targets for 70 yards, 63 yards. Hasn't found the end zone yet, and I think that is going to change, and that will make him, you know, easy 5x salary if he comes in for a TD this week. So I like me some Darren Waller, and I like me some Evan Ingram. Okay matchup, but Ingram's just a target machine. 22 targets in 2 games. So, and we leave left with Andrews. I think I showed you guys him earlier. We got to keep your eye on him, but Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry, I said Lamar Jackson earlier with Darren Waller. I just realized that. And Darren Waller, and I meant to say Raiders. I'm sorry, the purple messed me up. Oh, you can move there. What the? Woo! Anyways, what? You can do that? I just slid him from this screen to my Word document, and it just stuck him in my Word document. Look at this. Oops, sorry. I just stuck it in my Word document. What do we have going on here? Sorry about that, guys. I don't even know why I'm showing you this, but I just thought it was funny. Whoop. Let's see if this works. Ertz. Good to know. Makes this a little bit easier next time I go to do this, so. Anyways, now that I've wasted some value time of yours, let's keep going on. Defense. Patriots had, what, 37 fantasy points last week against Miami? How do you not look at the Cowboys? Patriots defense, friggin' studs. Studs this year. Borderline better than their offense. Love Cowboys D. Love the Patriots D. Let's find you guys some more inexpensive options. Let's see what we have here. I hate all of them. Hate them. Hate them. I don't mind the Steelers' defense against San Francisco. That being said, I also don't mind San Francisco's defense against the Steelers. If I was to give you one defense, I would probably give you, let me think here, Arizona. 2,700 playing at home against Carolina. I think McCaffrey is definitely going to score points. Obviously, I had him on my list, but the quarterback, whatever his name is, could definitely throw some interceptions, make some mistakes. I like the Panthers defense. I'll be riding on the Patriots D quite a bit, though. Yeah, that is all. I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you guys can give me some feedback, I would greatly appreciate that. It's my first video. I'm gonna make mistakes. I know I didn't dive into the homework a ton either. So if you guys would like to hear more statistical stuff versus me just doing the stats and just telling you like, don't like, I can do that. I just try to make these videos a little bit more simple, easier to understand, and just not crazy. So appreciate it, guys. If you guys could please follow me on Twitter at the DFS Kings with a Z. Follow me on YouTube, hit the bell to get notified, comment, like, and subscribe. DFS Kings out. Good luck, boys.